Hey, everybody. I went live a little earlier and my microphone's messed up on the phone. So I'm starting this over and I apologize if I wasted your time a few minutes ago. Anyway, the point of this particular video is trying to help folks out there that are looking into a side hustle, a new business, what to look for. And what I look for when I started my businesses and how that all came into place, to my light bulb moments. And I wanted to share that with you folks as well. Okay. So if anybody's on here to start with, let's make sure you can hear me. Okay. Let me make sure I got the right microphone. Yes, you can hear me, Eric. Perfect. All right. I want to make sure I wasn't screwing up again like the last video. Video and audio is good. Okay, perfect. All right. Now listen, I've been working for myself for the last 23 years with the pallet business. And you folks have been on this channel know I teach people how to run a pallet business, and I've been running one for the last 23 years. And the things that came into play with that particular business model, I want to share with you and how it made sense to me. And maybe you can correlate into something you're looking at as well, even if it's not the pallet business. And the fact that compared to what I was doing before that, even though I was working for myself, I was doing remodeling for 7 years before the pallet business. So yes, I was in business for myself, but when I compared the two, all things aren't created equal when you work for yourself. And the thing that came into play is the fact that I enjoyed working for myself. I wasn't having to work for the man, even when I was doing the remodeling business. But I could only make so much money in a day. I could only multiply myself. I couldn't multiply myself is what was taking place unless I really got complicated and hired more crews and took on more liability, right? With that business model. Could I make some good money in a week? Yeah, I could, but I couldn't exponentially make more money on that model without getting into a more complicated type situation, bringing on more liability and more individuals and more headaches that come along with that. Okay, painting yourself in a corner. So comparing that when I tripped onto the pallets in 1998, and coming out of the gate with a new business, I love the low overhead. The fact that 95% of the product was free, right? So that's item one, looking at a business is what's the overhead to get started? Because a lot of you folks are for the first time that are looking into getting into a side hustle or a side gig or a transition from your job to something else full-time as well, but making it your own. You want that low overhead model to be in place. So you're not breaking the bank, putting all your eggs in one basket and jeopardizing any type of security you built to that point, investing in a new business to begin with. When I came across that first cache of free pallets, it was like 1,500 free pallets that first day, I said to myself, what other business can I get my product for free? Right? Now, was I maximizing the profit I can make in the beginning? No, I learned that as time went on and learning who the customers are and all that. But that low overhead, that mark was checked. And that makes a huge difference when you're actually going to business for yourself for the first time, right? Was the learning curve extraordinary? Now, I've learned so much from year 1 to year 23. It's ridiculous. But the entry point of the way I started, I was just selling the pallet yards back then. The wrong way to do it. Don't advise anybody to do it that way because it's a headache. But at the same time, it was straightforward. It wasn't a complicated business. And my ramp up time to get the ball rolling didn't take forever, trying to learn the skills like I had compared to knowing how to paint, knowing how to do woodworking and carpentry, and knowing how to do siding and roofing, and all those skill sets take a while to master. You know, comparatively, I'm moving a product from point A to point B without having to store them, without other employees to complicate the matter. Okay. So that was another check mark, was the learning curve. And the biggest one for me was when I was, what I was talking about earlier, I could only make so much remodeling houses in a given week because it was me. You know, I had a partner as well, which the profits were split in that aspect. But I couldn't duplicate myself in a way where I was exponentially making more money without having to hire a lot of new help and have additional crews and additional equipment. The pallets for me in that aspect made the whole difference in the world, because when I had 120 pallets of free pallets on the back of my truck, and you know, even if I was selling for $3-4 a piece, 120 times $3 or $4 is still $400 or $500, right? $300, $400, $500 at the, you know, way back then. So it was multiplying my efforts, and I could execute that in a 35-minute process, pulling in, getting loaded up, strapping them down, driving 3 blocks, 4. Back then, I'd have to drive a couple miles because I was just getting started. So my suppliers and buyers were like all butted up together as they are now. So that aspect of it really exponentially made more money for me in a shorter period of time. So that's another checkbox. What kind of money can you make in a short period of time really is the key to all of it. Because if you can crack that nut, that means your freedom with your family and time with your kids and time to do things you want to do is shortened. I mean, excuse me, is liberated. And because you're learning how to make more money in a shorter period of time, which leaves you more time to do other things as well. And as a spinoff, it gives you time to do other things that may create revenue for you as well, that may interest you, right? Mine was music and painting and all that. So those other aspects of my life that I really enjoyed, wanted to have more time to do, came into play because I could finish my pallets by 9, 10 o'clock in the morning and switch over to something else. Now, I could do pallets all day long if I wanted to. I just had other interests. You know, that could happen for you. I see a question's popped up or something. Eric is stating something, so I wanted to see what he's saying. I'm 50 years old and wanting to do this so much, but I'm afraid that where I live won't justify saving the money. Hard to do right now for the class. And Jacob, I see your question is met well. Well, there's a couple of things that come into play. There's, you know, there was a downturn in 2007, 8, and I lost one of my customers in Birmingham. They actually went out of business. So to make up for that, I lived in Birmingham and I started accounts 70 miles away in Montgomery as well. And I got one account to start with, but then I ended up with several accounts down in Montgomery. So I chose one day of the week to drive to Montgomery, it was a hassle. But at the same time, I built it into 4 accounts down there. So I would spend one day and just knock out those 4 accounts every Tuesday, right? And it made it well worth traveling the 77 miles it took me to get there, because those 4 accounts were bringing in $500-600 a pop. And then I did have to drive back, right? Eventually, you know, you can have somebody actually take over those accounts for you and you pay them a cut and you're not having to actually drive a long distance to that location. That's item number 1. Then once I started doing brokering back in the 2005, 2006 range, that added a whole other aspect where I am not limited to where I live. So students do this all the time in the group because I teach it for one, but being in the group of other students, there's a lot of deals working together, right? And there's a lot of students that are living in Minnesota but doing deals in California and Nashville, and they're not actually physically moving pallets from point A to point B. They are brokering the deal and getting a cut of the action on large quantities and large repeating orders of pallets, so you're not limited to where you live. Okay, so that's the second aspect. The third aspect is, I had a student the other day. I'm gonna cover two little topics on this. He's got one account. They have 5 locations, right? So that one account is 5 locations for him to supply. Supply pallets for, right? So that's a multiplication of 5x with one customer. But then there's more multiplication that goes on after that, because now he's also bringing corrugated boxes into the mix. Crates, drums, and dunnage, industrial bags, spools, all these other items are in play as well. So once you learn how to duplicate those same customers selling pallets to and sell them other items that they may need as well, you've multiplied yourself again without having to even go out and get another customer. Point being made, there's money to be made if you can get one account and do this the right way. Can be a cash cow if it's the right business. Or you just do a lot of small orders. 50 pallets a week for a company is $250 in your pocket, minus gas. And that $250 can take literally 35 minutes to do, from pickup to delivery. Now, at first, it may take you a little longer because you might have to go 2 miles instead of 3 blocks, because you're just starting out and your matchups aren't all butted up together. But the longer you do this, the closer your proximity is. So, Eric, there's a lot of, now if you're in a town of 500 people, then you would need, and there's no businesses, to even work with there, then you would need to have to lean on the brokering aspect of this business, okay, to make this work, because you don't have any activity where you live, or you'd be willing to travel one day a week or a couple days a week to a larger municipality down the road. The IBC totes, I've been dealing with them for years. I don't store them, for one. Don't get into that habit of it. There are situations with IBC totes, and those are those plastic tanks with a cage around it, right? They're very profitable, and there's a way of doing it where you don't have to store these things, and it's going directly from where they are to the public. And I cover that in there. Now, there's some things you're going to have to learn as well in the training concerning what was in that tank, right? And some methods of making sure who you're selling to, it's fine for them. There's food grade totes, there's chemical totes, there's ways of cleaning these totes as well, and making it where it's safe for other items to go in it. So all that's taught in the training, and all the different types of businesses you can deal with to sell them to, and where to procure them as well. There's posts day after day of people dealing with the IBC totes inside the group, okay, inside the training, and in the private Facebook group. So now I want to cover those couple of topics, but back to how to evaluate if a business is right for you, if it's checking off these aspects. And the litmus test on top of everything else is, how much time do you get to spend with your family now because of this business, or how much time does it take away from your family? Anytime you get like a brick and mortar store, or something that has a lot of, sometimes has a lot of overhead, or you're not multiplying yourself and you're not making that money in a short period of time, you're putting yourself in position. Yes, you're making money and you're working for yourself, which is wonderful and great. But have you cracked the golden egg, which would be, can I work for myself, not work, 10, 12, 16 hours a day for the next 20 years and never see my family on top of it? Or can I create wealth for myself in a shorter period of time to where if I have some free time for the rest of the day, I'm able to spend it with my family. Or can I get, take my wife off her job? Can my kid ride around with me, in the summer months and work with me? Can I incorporate my family into the business without, super mind-numbing brain squeezes of trying to teach them the business? You know what I'm saying? This is a straightforward business as far as the pallet goes. But if you're looking at another type of business as well, make sure it's not so complicated you can't teach your partner or your family member how to go along with you for the ride as well, and duplicate your efforts that way. Or you can do it solo. Plenty of people do it solo. Thoughts on totes? Well, I just talked about totes a minute ago, so you have to rewind. I've shut down again. Can this business still flourish? Hey, Clovis. If we shut down again, can this business still flourish? Oh, absolutely. All right. So here's something you need to know. Here's what happens when, let's say we did shut down. Well, what doesn't shut down is shipping, because it's considered by Homeland Security a necessity, a require. It's one of those businesses where it actually hyper accelerates, because now everybody is ordering online because they're stuck at home, and business is even ordering online. So there's still an exponential amount of people moving stuff. Even when they're having to stay at home, having to move product, having to move raw materials to one place to the other. And the only way to do that is with pallets. So no, there wasn't a slowdown. There was actually an acceleration of shipping that took place on the last shutdown. And it's still going on, because all those people that were reluctant to order online before this happened, now they're used to it. And if you look up stats, the amount of online ordering, and I'm not talking Amazon. Don't think I'm just talking about Amazon. I'm talking about everything. There was a tipping point. So there was always like this 10% growth year after year in online shipping and online ordering. But when COVID hit last year, it was like a 40% increase in 3 months, which overtook all the previous 3 years combined into a 3-month period. And so everything was being ordered online, which creates a swarm of shipping. So no, I wouldn't be. I don't want anything to shut down. I like the economy being open up, but that is in this particular business model, which I like, is not a bad thing. Okay, so I've covered those questions, doing kind of a combination of answering some questions on here and making sure folks that are looking into this that haven't joined the Simplest Biz or hadn't bought the training, that they know what to look for when it comes to a business model. I'm correlating it with this business model because that's what I've been identifying with for all these years. But, if you find something that interests you, just be sure you're checking off the boxes that we covered in this video. So you're simplifying yourself, your life and your income without having to just create a job for yourself. All right. Trying to think of anything else I'd like to cover when it comes to this before I let you go. I think part of it is more peace of mind, not the stress level that comes along with owning a business. You need to make it where it's not going to overwhelm you to the point of depression or fear or panic. You need to have a situation where, the recurring aspect of money coming in and serving the existing customers that you have is really all you have to deal with. Reoccurring orders, developing those relationships once those you know how to set these accounts up the right way, of course, as well. But that stress level is a fringe benefit to your family and your kids, where you're not coming home grumpy you're excited to the fact that you get to go out to lunch with your wife on a random Tuesday afternoon, and those type of things, that you have enough money to pay the bills and have some disposable income in addition to that, without having to work those 16-hour days. A lot of people that get in business for themselves, and I see it over and over again, like, I want to open a coffee shop. Well, they're chained to it. The overhead is huge. The startup cost is huge. They can make some money. They could even franchise and make it up, but they don't have the quality of life that a simple business does as well. So just be careful you're not working yourself into a job, any business that you pick out doing. So let me go to the old man glasses again. Shipping equals pallets. That is absolutely true. A-OK. I'm contemplating on buying the course myself or doing with the team. Is that option available to buy the course and to split the price between 3 people? We allow partnerships. There is a additional charge for partnerships. I'll explain that right now while I have you on here. If the partner is in the same city within a 25-mile radius, there is an additional $200 charge for the partner. Okay. The reason that is because that person's going to have a login to the training just like you are. They also are going to have a login to the Facebook group. And what that means to us is we have great back-end support in that Facebook group as well, and for even technical issues or whatever. So that additional person, we're charging a couple $100 if they live in your same area, and we only allow it for 2 people, right? If you're going to have someone, and people do this, one guy's in Nashville and the other guy's in Long Beach, California, and they say they want to be partners. Well, they're taking up 2 markets for one. A lot of times they're just doing it, to save the money on the training. We get it. But here's the case. Since you are taking up 2 market, it is the full price of the training. And y'all would split the full cost of the training. There's not the 800. There's a discount because you're splitting the cost, and you're splitting the full cost in half. All right. As far as 3, send us an email, tell us what the situation is, and we'll see what we can do when it comes to multiple partners. Okay. So I hope that helps you understand there is an additional cost for a partner. Unless it's your wife or whatever, and they live in the same household, that's a little different. I've done Eric Campbell. I done had the call. I'm just trying to get my ducks in a row. I'm glad to hear that, Eric. Okay, stay focused. If this is for you, hopefully you made your mind up. You've done your due diligence, and I want good students. I don't want tire kickers, window shoppers. I want people who've investigated this, makes sense to them, and are ready to work. Okay, all right. Got a few more. The process. Can you broker a deal in another state that is not your own? Absolutely. That happens all the time. You're not limited when you broker. And deals are done between students as well in the brokering aspect of it. You can have one account that's in multiple states as well, and do brokering in that aspect and service that client in that manner. And there's some high-end ways of going about doing that you'll learn in the training. Okay, Jacob, what would you know what module IBC totes are under? I can't seem to find it. Must just be multiple streams, I believe, is the one you'll be looking for. In fact, go into the Facebook group as well and put totes in the search box, and you will find all the posts that have been done on totes as well. But the multiple stream, it will be in there, and it would also, like I said, search totes inside the private Facebook group, and you'll see dozens and dozens of posts about it and videos. Would you know what module? Oh, okay, we did that one. Hi, John. This thing works, and I'm from the Caribbean. Just wanted to say thanks. It works everywhere, man. Well, I don't have any students working it in China. I have a student from China. I don't know if it works in communist countries or not. They probably, I guess that may be an exception. He's from China or stays in China 6 months of the year, but he moves into Washington and does it with his kid the other 6 months. So that's that situation. But yes, this is will this work here? Will this work here? With the brokering, you're not limited to any given location, even if you live in Podunk, Iowa, or somewhere where there's nothing around you. You still can do the brokering. You still can do deals within the group. So I get that question all the time. Will it work here? Will it work here? It will work everywhere. Whether you're doing the brokering alone or you're in a city or town that has activity going on in it, this model can match up either way. Okay. So I guess that's probably the number one question. They haven't, I've said this before, they haven't developed Star Trek yet where they can beam stuff from one place to the other. The anti-gravity machine is not in place yet. So the pallet is how everything's moved in the United States, in Iceland, in Africa, and even the drug trade uses pallets. It's the most efficient way to move goods. That's how everything is set up as far as shipping goes, is with the pallets. But you also have crates and drums and dunnage and industrial bags, a lot of time, and corrugated boxes. Those corrugated boxes usually go on a pallet. Those industrial bags, once they're full of minerals and stuff, go on a pallet as well. So I love that part about it, because when I sell a company 2 different items, they're both being put, the boxes are being put, they're both going out the door, and never to be seen again. So that means that stack of boxes and that stack of pallets are going down, and I got to replenish them next week. Okay. John, I have a client who wants credit on the first day of business. What do you think about that? Well, we are in business here. This is for the general public. So some of your questions really need to be in the Facebook group, but we're in business for ourselves here. We're not a fly by night. We're here for the long run. We're here to serve that client for the long run. And I invoice. I've always invoiced. I'm not the guy saying I need money right now and make you stop what you're doing and go to the accounting office and write out a check. We don't have to operate that way. And so don't think in short terms. But all right, some of these questions, like I said, will be in the private Facebook group, but I'm happy just to kind of touch base on them. What up, John? How can I join into your group so I can learn how to work with the pallets and other items? Simply, you can go to I think the easiest way would be to go to the Simplest Biz for You, the Simplest Biz, B-I-Z, for, the letter U.com. And you can go /info, /info. The Simplest Biz for You.com /info. And there's a good page there where you can, go over material that I've talked about. You can set up an appointment and talk to us. You can buy the course, if you want, if you've done your due diligence, or if you get that complicated, you just go to the simplestbiz.com. All right. The simplestbiz.com, simplestbiz.com. If I could post it up here somehow, I would, but I'm live. Bob, what up, John? How can I join? Okay. I think we got that. Thank you, Urban. Hi, John. Thanks for developing an excellent course. I'm in the stage of paying off my course fees. Can't wait to be your student. I'm so happy for you. Folks, whether you do this business or not, or some other business, I love people getting out of that grind, watching people getting out of that grind of 9 to 5. I know so many people that are stuck in it. They're not getting paid what they're worth. They got talents that they should be using. This is America. You should be, developing your own thing. Even if you're working for somebody right now, set aside an hour of the day for you, not just to goof off, but to work toward your goal of what you want to do for yourself that's going to generate money for you and your family. You actually have a moral obligation to do that. Yeah, you work. But like, again, there's freedoms in America that allow us to create our own situation. And if you're happy with what you do and you're working for somebody else and they're paying you what you think you're worth, that's fine and good. I'm all for it. But at the same time, there's plenty of people out there that aren't getting paid what they need to be made to retire comfortably, to support their family, to create a legacy for their kids. Sometimes a job just ain't gonna cut it. And there's retirement creeping up on you, and you got to do something. I've created a vehicle for myself. I'm trying to teach as many other people as well how to do it to get them out of the rat race as well. It doesn't fall in your lap with no action. If you took my course or anybody else's course, like you probably heard before, and didn't take any action on it, well, that's going to be a big fat dud. It ain't going to work because you got to put action behind anything you do, right? It's proven that this can be a success for people, but you're going to have to do what I'm telling you to do and take action on the knowledge that you're going to learn, just like any other business. I just particularly am quite enamored by this business because I just feel like I've cheated the system for years, for 23 years, where I've had more freedom than the normal fella. And why should I have all the fun? I want to teach as many people how to do it as well. Okay. You got to open the course up too. I've had people buy this course and never open it up. Okay. I think I got everything. I hope this helped some folks to try to determine what you're looking for when you start a business, whether it be the pallet business, pallet brokering, or whether it be another side hustle, internet business, whatever the case may be. There needs to be criteria met to keep your life in focus and simple and of value to others without wringing you out and spitting you out. I've done other businesses, online stuff, even telling you folks about this stuff, the stuff I've had to learn to try to figure out, all right, about the course and telling people about it and audiences and the internet side of it and SEO and it's overwhelming compared to the actual pallet business itself, and it'll put your brain in a cramp sometimes. But it is interesting too. I've learned a lot in this aspect. But thank God for the pallet business to give me the time to be able to show people, right? This type of thing. Everything in my life, if you trace it back, that allowed me to do it. Other businesses, other revenue streams that were developed was because of this pallet business, because it gave me the time to do it without sucking me dry, without chewing me up and spitting me out. Okay. I hope this helps. I'm sure it went long, but thesimplestbiz.com if you got questions, thesimplestbiz@gmail .com if you have any questions there, and we'll go from there. Okay. Take care.